What's going on, everyone? So we're all anxiously waiting around for what Christian Wood's going to do. The Lakers obviously need another big man. That's a priority for them. They're patiently waiting to see, it's Christian Wood today, tomorrow, weeks from now. What is going to happen? Is he signing with the Lakers? Is he signing elsewhere? Regardless what ends up happening, the Lakers are very likely going to sign another center, whether it's Bismack Biyombo or they bring in some veteran center, or maybe they bring in like a Myers Leonard or something like that. Very likely a center is coming to the Lakers. But beyond the center position, you still have that 15th roster spot. And you could bring in one of your two-way guys. That's very possible. Bring in like a Demoy Hodge, bring in a Colin Castleton. The problem is throughout the course of the season, if some big name or some significant piece that could maybe help you in your title push becomes available via the buyout market or something, who are you waving on this roster to end up going and signing that guy? And now you're missing out on that because you're not going to get rid of a Demoy Hodge or a Colin Castleton when you're better off just keeping them on a two-way contract. That way you have control over them. You can bring them up and down. They can play, I think it's like, 56 games or something like that over the course of the season. So they can still have their opportunity, and then you can sign somebody with that 15th roster spot that could maybe have an impact. And if you follow this channel, you know that I want a sort of veteran style guy, somebody that can come in though, but also maintain and provide some level of impact, right? A guy that you can play. I don't want necessarily a guy that's just on the bench just for the sake of being on the bench. I want a guy that hey, in a spot you can play him, has some experience, has been there, done that. And one of the options that is still available, at least at the time of recording this video, is Terrence Ross. So Terrence Ross did not come back with the Phoenix Suns. He is still available and out on the market. And this is a guy that many in Lakers Nation wanted badly last season and many seasons. The Lakers were in talks on several occasions to try to acquire Terrence Ross and ultimately never were able to get him. He ends up getting bought out, signs with the Phoenix Suns, and now he is available on the market. And still 32 years old, he's young enough to be a player that can have an impact, get some spots, be a veteran guy, play the shooting guard, small forward position, which I think is valuable and can really help some of our young guys, kind of being a leader, being a mentor, all of those things. Those are very important. And outside of the center position, you can make an argument that the 2 spot is the most needed position, right? Now, it's not something that is desperately needed, right? Because you got Austin Reeves, you have Max Christie, you have, Cam Reddish who could play the 3, you have D'Lo that you could slide over to the 3, right? But as of right now, the current roster appears to be, D'Lo, Reeves, Rui, LeBron, and AD, and then you have more likely than not, you're going to have, a Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, or you could end up having Taurean Prince, maybe. That's another option there. And then you have like a Jared Vanderbilt, a Cam Reddish, and then a Jackson Hayes, right? There you go. There's your lineup. But when you get to the playoffs and stuff like that, it would be nice and valuable to have a guy that has some experience rather than relying on, say a Max Christie who is 20 years old and has never been here and in this position to have to try to be a huge, significant piece, right? Or be a piece that can come in and really have to have an impact. It's a lot of pressure. Yes, I understand that Austin Reeves did it, but Austin Reeves was also 24 years old, right? He was more mature, spent more years in college, it's different circumstance, different environment. Plus, his game is very different than Max Christie's. There's a lot more that goes into it. And so to have a veteran guy who can play in spots, right, be a quality shooter, which the Lakers, let's face it, the Lakers could use shooting. They've never really had a great quality shooting roster. And even right now, they definitely have shooters, and I'm actually kind of curious to see where do they land as far as 3-point percentage goes overall, because the last handful of years, even when they won the championship, they were 26th in the league in 3-point percentage. Now they do have, again, Taurean Prince 38%, D'Lo and Reeves could both be 40%. Rui you'd expect to be a little bit better. LeBron I don't think could be worse than he was last year. You got pieces, you got guys that can come in, knock down the shots. Max Christie, he shot 42% last year for Lakers, or 41 and a half percent, whatever, for the Lakers from 3 last year. And he was really good in Summer League and shot something crazy, like 55% or something silly like that in Summer League from three-point range. Not saying he's going to do that in the regular season, but Lakers may be much improved. I don't think it would hurt to bring in a guy like Terrence Ross to come in and kind of play that role of, he was 35% for the Phoenix Suns, which wasn't great. But for Orlando that year, he shot 38%. And then the previous year, he had about a 36.8% from the field. And basically, he's around like a 37% three-point shooter. But this is also a guy that can come in, score in bunches, kind of be a vet guy that can go get you double digits on any given night, right? He's not a guy that's going to really jump out at the page, but he's also a guy that wants to win a championship, isn't on a current roster, and I think if he came into the Lakers, I think he would have value, not only as a player, but as a guy that, again, has kind of been there and done that, has had opportunities, has been in spots, was a key piece for the Phoenix Suns last year, has playoff experience that you can throw in, and he's not going to do anything bad. He's not going to do anything to mess it up. It's a position that, again, you can kind of use bodies for, especially if you get another big man. And this is a guy that, I've wanted on the Lakers for some time. Like, this is a guy that, legit, I was hoping the Lakers would have traded for him. In hindsight, looks like the Lakers made the right call. That's why, Rob Pelinka is Rob Pelinka, and that dude is just a magician when it comes to acquiring guys and stuff like that, and knowing who to get and who to target and all that stuff. It also didn't help that Orlando had ridiculous asking prices for Terrence Ross, and then ultimately ended up letting him go for nothing, which I think is funny. It's kind of crazy how that always seems to be the case. You have teams just completely try to over ask on a player, and the next thing you know, they're waving the guy and getting nothing. And it's like, you probably could have gotten 2 seconds for this guy. But nonetheless, I digress. I think for the Lakers, I think it gives you a guy that can play in a closing unit, in a starting unit, in a quality role for the Lakers, and he'd be your 15th man. He'd be about as low risk, high reward as it gets. If he comes in and he is a 38% three-point shooter, and you give him, 10 minutes a game or something like that, give him 4 attempts per game, this is a guy that could come in and maybe go get you double digits, can create a little bit for himself, a guy that can hit big shots in big moments, that's not afraid of the moment. It just gives the Lakers another weapon and another guy that can just go get buckets, right? And that's something that the Lakers could always need, right? When you're talking about the 15th guy, you're at best looking for a guy that just won't mess things up, right? If we put him in the game, is he going to just ruin everything that we have going on? Terrence Ross is a guy that won't do that. Terrence Ross is the guy that you can actually put into a game, and he could help maintain a lead. He can help you get back in the game if you're losing. He's a guy that, can do a lot. I mean, he has a career defensive rating of 110.4, which league average is 115. So again, just a guy that's going to work hard, get after it. He was around league average last year with the Orlando Magic at 115. But again, 2 years ago, he was 110. What was he? He was 110.4. So he's not that far removed, right? This is a guy that can come in, play both sides of the basketball, work hard, get after it, and I think be a real impact player for the Lakers. I think he's a guy that if he's your 15th man, you're probably a really good basketball team. And that's what I think the Lakers are. I think they're a very good basketball team. And to have a guy like Terrence Ross who on any night can go off for 15 to 20 points and just be a scorer for you and create his own shots and, do multiple things and is going to work hard and play hard and get after it, sacrifice his body, get after loose balls. It just comes down to Terrence Ross and if he's willing to come in and buy it, right? Is he willing to come in and say, okay, going to a contender for a chance to win an NBA championship, let me come in, I'll play the role. If you need me, coach, I'm ready. Let's do it. If not, all right, I'll sit here. I'll be a positive influence on the young guys, right? Because you think he's a perimeter guy, right? And so is like 90% of this roster. Think of all the young guys we have in this roster. Like I said, Maxwell Lewis, you have Cam Reddish, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura. Like these are all guys that can play the 2, 3, 4. And so is Terrence Ross, a guy that played the 2, 3, probably not so much the 4, but he's 6'6" in size, so he's got decent size. So this is a guy that, like I said, could rub off on the young guys. Could be a guy that can have an impact. And that's what if you're getting a guy that can legitimately have an impact, a guy that you could make an argument for to be a starter, and he's your 15th guy, like that's pretty good. It's a really good position to be in. So I like the idea of Terrence Ross in the 15th man. But how do you feel? Do you feel the same way? Do you not? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments.